Live from the city that never sleeps. 17 miles from Madison Square Garden, New York City. It's America at Night with Rich Valdez, America's favorite late-night talk program, featuring interesting guests from around the world and calls from across America. And now, here is your host, Rich Valdez.
Hi there, good evening, and what's up, America? I am Rich Valdez, Valdez with an S, at Rich Valdez on all of the social media, here working the night shift for you, live and national. You know the phone number, 833-482-5337, 833-4-Valdez. And lots going on in America tonight. Things are buzzing, literally buzzing, in D.C., in the swamp area with CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference, kicking off in D.C., and we're going to give you a couple of updates there. Lots of people there. J.D. Vance is speaking there today. You got Elon Musk speaking there today. A bunch of people. There was a sighting of President Javier Milei from Argentina. So we're going to get into that stuff in just a moment. But I want to go over some of the other things that are going on because Kash Patel has been confirmed as the FBI director. Now, listen, I know I'm thrilled about it, right? Those of you who listen to this program religiously know that we've had Kash on a lot. He's a friend of the program, and he's a great patriot, somebody that I definitely advocated for to be FBI director, and I'm thrilled that he's the FBI director. But I'm glad that, the Trump team is really shaping up. And what could be better news than that? I'll tell you. I didn't think I could get better news in one day, but I did. Guess what? Mitch McConnell, the turtle, you see? The turtle, Mitch McConnell. Well, he's out. That's right. He's not running for re-election, a.k.a. he's out. I love it. I would love to conspire and theorize and conspire and say this is really because he's getting this and he's getting that and they pushed him out. And I think he's just 800 years old and he was literally freezing and needed to reboot, and he has health challenges, and whatever the reason be, Godspeed to him, honestly, and thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. I'm glad to see him go. I really, really am. So imagine that. CPAC kicking off, a bunch of conservative rock stars all under the same roof. Then you've got Kash Patel getting confirmed, and now Mitch McConnell, the turtle-in-chief, the turtle. He's out. I love it. Plus, El Trompito, Donaldus Magnus, he made a call to the coach of the USA hockey team just a little while ago and let that team know it while they were getting ready to go play Canada tonight. Again, the last one was a knockdown, drag 'em rumble. Loved it. But tonight, they're playing again, and President Trump called them to give them a pep talk and a personal message right over the coach's speakerphone. So I thought that was really, really cool. And a little bit more good news for you. 6,000 IRS staff are being cut. Now, some of you are thinking, I may not get my return in time. And that may be true. But everybody else who was facing going to the big house because Biden was hiring 87,000 new agents, armed ones, without good training, I might add. Two that shot at each other and one died in training. These agents are no more, right? Trump decided to say, now we're going to send these people to do real law enforcement work and not go after people that paid their taxes late or whatnot. 6,000 IRS staff being cut. I think this is a pretty darn good Wednesday, or today's Thursday, forgive me. I never know what day it is. I'm going to need one of those old people clocks that have like the time really big and the date on it, because every day looks the same to me. Anyway, so that's what's going on. Then, New York Post reporting that Hamas has returned the wrong body to Israel. Shiri Biba's body was returned to Israel, the remains of Ariel Kafir, positively ID'd. The other one said, they say it's wrong. It wasn't the right one. Unbelievable. So those are some of the things that are tracking tonight. But I want to get into it. I'll try and get the clip of audio for when we come back from the break. But one of the things that I saw on the news today, I was watching Newsmax TV, by the way, and I'll be on Newsmax TV tomorrow. I'll be on tomorrow discussing what's happening at CPAC. I'll be on over the weekend on John Tobacco's show. And what I saw today, though, what I'm trying to allude to here, was some live coverage. Rob Schmidt, who used to be a local anchor here in my part of town, New York City, he was interviewing Dark MAGA himself, Elon Musk. And they're talking, and when they wrap up the conversation, well, guess what? Elon stands up. He's wearing shades and his Dark MAGA hat and like a blazer type of thing. And he says, well, I guess, we're done, but there's another person here, right? Surprise. Who is it? And Elon says, I don't know. I know that President Javier Milei from Argentina is here because he wants to give me a gift. And out comes Milei like a rock star, like he's a wrestler from the WWE. And he comes out on the stage and he gives him the most amazing gift. And if you haven't seen it already on social media, I'm not going to spoil it for you until I get you the audio, which is coming up. But all I could say is this. It's something to help him in doing the cutting that he's doing. And I couldn't be happier about that. Plus, lots more conversation tonight. We're going to get into a few things tonight. We're going to, like I said, talk about CPAC, big show in town. We're also going to get into, let me see what I got lined up here. Oh, some of the crazy that's going on college campuses across the country. People are like having DEI withdrawal. We're going to talk about that. And then somebody sent me a video the other day. One of my unofficial producers, right? Because people send me great stuff that I end up bringing on the show. And there are all these humanoid robots that are becoming more and more, we can use the word perfected, right? Or more and more effective each year. And at the latest consumer tech show in Vegas, there was this woman that was like a customer service robot. And this company actually bought a sex doll company and creates these lifelike humanoid robots now to replace people in different jobs using AI and whatnot. Really fascinating stuff. So we're going to talk with the CEO of a robotics company a little bit later to talk about all of that. So keep it locked right here, folks. Of course, your calls and more open phones across America. It's Rich Valdez. I'm on the night shift. We're live and we're national, so you can call in. Looking forward to hearing what you have to say. 833-482-5337 or 833-4-VALDEZ.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez.
Well, thank you, Rich, and thank you for everything. I know you very well, and I listen, but I have a lot of people that listen, and they love your show, and I appreciate it very much.
America at Night with Rich Valdez.
All right, amigos, welcome back. And again, more developments. Another legal case that Trump has fared well in. The firings will continue. And you got to be happy about those things. I do. Now, I saw somebody being critical online saying, it's very not Christian of you to take joy in these things. I'm not taking joy in anyone's misery. I like to think that most of the people I'm talking to at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Pacific, right? Is that right? Maybe, 6 p.m. Pacific. I would like to think that most of you are very nuanced, very intelligent people that understand that not everything is mutually exclusive, right? Sometimes you have very interesting scenarios. And this may be one of them. I don't think it's that interesting. But I think if we have a government, right, that is carrying an amount of debt that is unsustainable, our current amount of debt is so high that in order to make our payments on the debt, we need to borrow $2 trillion to cover the debt service. This is not good, right? You can have a little debt. Sure. You can even have a lot of debt, but you can't have so much debt that you got to borrow money to cover the debt. More debt to cover debt. See where I'm going? So clearly, this is very problematic, right? And this is why I'm in favor of reducing the size of government, because it's only one thing that happens when you reduce the size of government. You feed it less money. That's it. It's that simple. And this is not like a family with multiple children that we're talking about here. This is a thing that we create, a thing that is of us, for us, and by us, right? We the people. So I have no problem with saying, look, I'm sorry, the government is too big. The government doesn't exist for your employment. I worked in the government, and maybe not everybody shares my thoughts, but I will say this, that in all seriousness, when I went to work in the government, I knew that I was going to try and work myself out of a job, because I don't believe that I should have perpetual employment in the government. Now, maybe if you're a police officer, perhaps, right? Crime is not something that is expected to kind of disappear ever, right? You're always going to need to enforce the law and protect and serve. Maybe if they're like, hey, we're hiring people right now so that we can reduce a particular crime problem, like, if you see a help wanted sign, ICE wanted, then great. Understood. I got it. Now you're specifically becoming an ICE agent officer to help a specific problem. And when that problem goes away, then maybe it's seasonal help. And they're like, all right, we don't need you anymore. All right, that would make sense. But most people in government don't approach it that way. They think, look, I'm in. You guys offered me a pension. You told me I'd be vested in 10 years. 20 years I can cash out, 25. And it becomes a proposition. And that, when I was a kid, everybody complained, the garbage men, the teachers, they all complained that they were underpaid, grossly underpaid for anybody doing similar work. But they took the job because they had better benefits than anybody else. And that was true maybe in the 1980s. That's not true today. I can tell you, maybe not in New York City, but in New Jersey, I can tell you for sure. You become a teacher in New Jersey, you're making more than teachers in most places. And it's a good gig. You're going to live well, right? It's that simple. And you're going to make a lot more than your Catholic school counterpart or your other private school counterpart, unless you want to cherry pick and find the most expensive private school, the most elite, that are maybe paying their teachers more than public schools are. But my point is, they're not making less than somebody teaching at a parochial school. So that's not the case anymore. And guess what? I had that state insurance once, right? When I worked for the state government, I remember pulling out my Blue Cross Blue Shield when I went to the doctor, because they're like, they always ask you, do you have new insurance? I would say, sure, yeah, I have new insurance. And I'd give them my new insurance. And when they saw that it said State of New Jersey, Blue Cross Blue Shield, a smile would go across. Oh, you're good. You're good. That's how, because they knew they could charge top dollar on this plan, and that they paid quickly and whatever it was, right? It was a good negotiated rate. They were very happy, the medical people. So my point is, there is no downside to working in the government. It's like hitting the lotto. Another example I'll give you, and this is a state-specific example, but in New Jersey, vested in 10 years, 20 years to get your pension. But there's this other thing they've got called deferred compensation. And it's another investment tool. There's also a 403B that you could put money into. So, you're talking about 3 different ways of having some sort of match from your employer. You're also talking about having, up until a couple of years ago, maybe a few years ago, completely paid for benefits. Now, I don't know if I've shared this on the air, but I'll share it with you now. I was still married when I went to work for the government. I was in the middle of my divorce, I guess. Or I had just finished it. But either way, my kids were on my policy, so I had to have a family plan, right? I didn't get the solo plan. And I was working in higher ed right before I went into the government, and I could tell you this. What I was paying, my contribution after my employer paid 80% and I was paying 20% of my health insurance, my contribution for a family of 4 was $8,800 per year. Right? That equaled, I don't know, $400 something a month or per pay period or whatever it was. $8,800 a year. So that was what I was paying. When I got my new job in the state, all my new colleagues were up in arms, panties in a bunch, saying, can you believe it? This new governor, Chris Christie, is now making us contribute to our own health insurance. And I was like, wow, I've been contributing to my own health insurance my whole life. I never had a job where I didn't pay some percentage of it. And, you know, the current job I had, I was paying 20% and they were paying 80%. So now I was like, oh, I wonder what it's going to cost me now, because Governor Christie required 1.5% of all state employees. So, you know, whatever it was, $800 a year or something like that. If you're making $100,000 and you're paying 1%, what is that? $1,000 a year? And you're talking about for your whole family, $1,000 for the year. If you were making that kind of money, if you're making $50,000, you're paying $500 a year, right? Or it was 1.5%, whatever the case was. People were flipping out about this, and I was thinking, "Amen, praise God, hallelujah!" I just got a raise, right? Because I was paying something like $750 a year, and I thought to myself, "Man, I was paying that in a month and a half or so." So, the moral of the story is that people nowadays can become very accustomed to the excellent and beautifully negotiated contracts that they get when they work in government service. But it's not on par with what real people are having to pay in their real life. The wages are, I'm going to use the word exaggerated. They're not on par with other people. A secretary that works in the government, an admin assistant, very important role, right, in any type of administrative function. They get paid way more than their private sector counterparts because of the way the government system works. You have a certain grade, right? Usually a letter and a number and a letter. So if you're this, that, you make this much. If you're here this long, when was the last time you talked to somebody? It's like, oh yeah, I'm working at the hospital. And maybe if they're in a unionized hospital, maybe they have a contract like that. But if they're, working in a hospital that doesn't have a union contract, then guess what? They're going to get paid whatever the market rate is. And you don't get to turn around and say, well, I'm a this, that, I'm a A6 or whatever, I'm making it up. Point is, someone's going to turn to me and say, well, Rich, that's your fault if you don't want to go to a union hospital. It's your fault if you don't want to work in the government. Granted, I understand your point. The point that I'm making is that it's not equal, and it doesn't have to be. But the problem is we're paying for all of the largesse, all of this excess with taxpayer dollars. That is not a way to sustain a government. And that is why we need Elon Musk and the Doge Committee to do what they do best. Cut, cut, cut. Anyway, straight ahead, we're going to talk about some of those cuts. And, of course, we're going to get to some of your calls as well. So keep it locked right here. I am Rich Valdez. Don't go anywhere.
Valdez. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4Valdez. That's Valdez with an S.
All right, amigos, welcome back, familia. We continue our late night national conversation, town hall conversation with you, we the people. 833-4Valdez is the phone number. Open phones across America. We're going to kick that off momentarily, but I started before telling you about what I saw when I was watching Newsmax TV a little bit ago. I saw Elon Musk sitting with former reporter from the local channel here in New York, who's a big anchor now on Newsmax, Rob Schmidt. And he was sitting down on a big comfy couch there interviewing Elon Musk on stage at CPAC. And the Conservative Political Action Conference just outside of D.C. in National Harbor, Maryland. And when I was watching it, and it was very interesting, Elon Musk is there wearing his dark MAGA hat, some dark shades, a blazer, was wearing all black. It was just, very cool looking, like very Terminator looking. And he's talking about a multitude of things, right? This conversation's free flowing, but they get up and they're done. And as he stands up, he says, "Oh, there's one more thing," right? And he makes this announcement, and we got the clip of audio here. Listen to this.
We've got one more surprise in case this wasn't enough. I'm going to let Elan do it. Who else is here?
Well, President Milei has a gift for me.
Javier Milei from Argentina. You guys know who that is, right? Why don't we bring him out?
Yeah.
Now, what you're hearing is President Milei.
Chainsaw for bureaucracy. Chainsaw.
Yes, there it is. He gives him a chainsaw, a huge chainsaw. And Elon Musk shouts, "The chainsaw of democracy."
All right.
I love it. Mr. President, thank you so much.
All right.
And there you have it. He thanks him and he goes away. And let me tell you, what a moment it was, right? It was, I think it was very symbolic, right? Because the media has been beating him up saying, "Oh, you should use a scalpel, not a chainsaw. You're doing the wrong thing. You're killing all of our free money giveaways, blah, blah, blah." And then comes this president who, again, he campaigned on this exact type of style, saying, no more left-wing crazy. We have to take things back. And Argentina has been flourishing under his administration. Similarly, you got President Bukele in El Salvador, who's been very heavy-handed as well, especially on crime, and has either locked up all of the MS-13 gang members in his country or deported them to the United States, right? And I say that jokingly, right? He didn't deport them. They escaped because they figured it's easier to commit crimes in Biden's America than it is in Bukele's El Salvador. And they were probably right about that. But now they're wrong, right? Now you got Tom Homan on the job trying to clean things up. So ultimately, I think this was a great moment. And, I'm jealous that I was not at CPAC today to be there to watch this. But again, he was there donning the gothic dark MAGA hat, black coat, and sunglasses, and he was wielding the chainsaw in honor of the Department of Government Efficiency. So I thought that was pretty cool. And there's a couple of, videos on the internet and pictures of it. There's a quote here from, let me just see real quick, from Musk saying, "I wasn't really that interested in being political. It's just like there was, at a certain point, no choice. The actions that we're taking with the support of the president and the support of the agencies is what will save Medicare. It's what will save Social Security. That's the reason I'm doing this, because I was looking at the big picture. And it's like, man, it's getting out of control. A country is no different from a person," he says. If a country overspends, a country goes bankrupt the same way a person who overspends eventually goes bankrupt. So it's not like it's optional to solve these things. It's essential. And I thought this was remarkable, right? This is something that is very, very important because he sees it as a mission, right? It's a duty. It's not something that we can take lightly or flippantly. So I'm going to pause right here. I'm going to come back, give you another clip of Musk and everything that transpired with his interview with Donald Trump and the Fox News Channel, where he kind of explains if we attack the deficit, if we use this chainsaw on our national debt, this in effect will bring down everything financially. Not bring it down like destroy it, meaning bring down interest rates so that people's incomes go up. And it was an interesting point, one that I think the media was criticizing the other day, but I think he explained it a little bit better. And it's not conventional because we've never seen that happen before. Anyway, keep it locked right here. It's Valdez. We're coming right back.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez. Call now, 833-4-VALDEZ. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4-VALDEZ. That's Valdez with an S.
I want to listen to you, Rich, all the time.
America at Night with Rich Valdez.
Yes, the reason the interest payments are so high is because the national debt keeps increasing. So the government is competing to sell debt with the private citizens. This drives up the interest rate. So if you cut back on the deficit, you actually have an amazing situation for people because you get rid of inflation and you drop the interest rates. And that means people's mortgage payments go down, their credit card payments go down, their car payments go down, their student loans go down, everything, their life becomes more affordable.
That's Elon Musk with Donald Trump talking about how we can make things more affordable for Americans. And that's why he's the chainsaw-wielding, budget-cutting crusader that he is, chief of the Doge team. And I want to talk about that and his comments at CPAC, as well as everything else that's going on in America at night, with the chairman of the American Conservative Union, the CPAC chairman, Matt Schlapp. Welcome, sir.
Hey, great to be with you again, Rich.
You bet. So talk to me. I was not on deck today with President Milei and Rob Schmidt and Elon Musk, but it seemed like an electrifying moment. What was it like? Talk us through it.
To say the least. I mean, that was like one of the most iconic CPAC moments of its history. I mean, who could have imagined? I mean, first of all, it was amazing to get Elon Musk to come to CPAC. He's never been to a CPAC before. And he and President Milei kind of had this idea that he was going to give him that chainsaw, and they met ahead of time, and they decided they would do it on the stage. And I thought it was a lot of fun. And it's a lot of fun, but it's actually meaningful because what CPAC has become, even more so recently, is a place for all the people that you're rooting on in these countries all over in these important positions in our own country. They come together and they meet up, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think I described it earlier as all of the conservative rock stars under one roof, CPAC. And it really feels like that, right? It's like a reunion. And I think you're right. It's not only symbolic, but it's symbolic of what's really happening. And while that's simultaneously happening, and we're seeing all of this and the talk, the floating of the idea of a Doge dividend, there's also a constant pushback. There's this unending lawfare to try and stop President Trump. From your purview, how do you think we're doing, and where do you think we're going?
I think hearing from AG Pambondi today, having Kash Patel get confirmed by the Senate today, there's just a lot happening. And to me, it's hard to say which part of the Trump agenda is more important, but there's one that kind of ties it all together, and that's stopping the lawfare, because really you have no economic rights, you have no family rights, you have no individual rights. The government can just willy-nilly, put Republicans in jail, make it impossible for Republicans to get into good schools, make it impossible for Republicans to get promotions because they're essentially a hate group. And so we have to stop this. And you can't have laws on the books that are used 80% of the time to go after MAGA supporters or conservatives or Republicans. So for me, I've been in this wicked town, almost my entire adult life, and it shifted. It used to be a Democrat town where a Republican could be treated decently and get fairness, and it flipped. and it became a socialist town where it became very dangerous for a Republican to even live, to even try to go to restaurants, to even just raise their family. There's a massive hostility, which begins with the fact that for too many years now, if they want to go after you on trumped-up charges, if they want to knock down your door with CNN at 4 o'clock in the morning, they're going to win, you're going to lose, you're going to be the victim. And that has to stop, or we're not going to have a country.
Yeah, I agree with that. Folks, we're on with Matt Schlapp, chairman of the American Conservative Union that puts on the Conservative Political Action Conference every year, CPAC, and it's a heck of a show. If you haven't been to one, you should. Now, Matt Schlapp, you talked about a lot of things, right? You talked about Kash Patel getting confirmed today, and AG Pam Bondi and her remarks, and all of that seems to be shaping up. And something else that I saw today, and I was saying to myself, what great news we've had today. But there was a piece of news today that really warmed my heart, and it was that Mitch McConnell is going to be gone soon. Your reaction?
I think Mitch McConnell's career is a little bit sad. He was elected as kind of a hard charger in the Reagan Revolution. He was a real champion for the rights of political speech, the First Amendment rights. He was always kind of a big spender. He was an appropriator, but he was great on judges and took some conservative stances. My biggest problem with Mitch McConnell over time was that he just didn't want to fight on hardly anything. He would fight on the Supreme Court, and I think he deserves credit for that. But there wasn't really anything else left that he would fight for, so that meant that Chuck Schumer gets to win. And in his belief, when we shut down the government with Newt Gingrich in 1995, 1996, that was a huge mistake that the Republican Party could just never recover from, and he believed that it was wrong to fight over spending. And as a appropriator, he kind of liked some of the spending if he could, guide it towards Kentucky. And it's very important for the people with Mitch McConnell's strategy of giving on the spending, which is all of the outrageous graft that Doge is finding, is the spending that we don't do anything about as a Republican Party because we have too many senators that believe that they're going to get attacked if they make a battle on spending. So I think it's good that Mitch McConnell isn't going to run again. He's too old to run again, but also he just has the wrong playbook. And I want everybody who agrees with this playbook to retire as well. We need to get senators who understand that if you don't use your power of the purse, you got no power.
Yeah, I hear that. Now, Matt Schlapp, in the minute and a half or 2 minutes we have remaining, I want you to share a little bit about this year's CPAC theme. There's always a very impactful theme. You've had some really great ones over the years, and I think that's a good spot for us to leave off on.
Yeah, do you like it? Do you like our theme, America Back on Track? I think it's kind of perfect.
I love the theme. But why did you pick it? Was it because of the election? Is it because of the momentum? All of the above?
Yeah, I just feel like people are running around saying woke is dead. I don't know. That might be a little too cocky for me.
Yeah,
but I do think we've tamed a lot of these, and I think that the American people realize they don't have to go along with all this ridiculousness. And I also think they understand that Marxism is inconsistent with the American idea. And Trump won, and we got 4 years, but 4 years won't get it done. We need more. We need to return to a constitutional order. And I'm very hopeful that if the 4 years goes well, we'll get more years, because I'm not sure the Democrats know why they lost.
Yeah, and that's all to our advantage. All to our advantage. Matt Schlapp, I'm looking forward to rubbing elbows with you and the rest of the rock stars under the big conservative tent tomorrow. And everybody who's listening, go to conservative.org, learn everything you got to learn, get a ticket if they're still available. And Matt Schlapp, any final words?
Hey, Rich, we appreciate you being at CPAC. We appreciate your partnership. And the greatest thing at CPAC is you get reconnected with all the great people out there that are just working really hard to save their country. And it's the best part of CPAC. It's not always the rich and the powerful. Sometimes it's people like you and me, Rich.
Yeah.
And we're going to get this thing done.
Amen to that, brother. Good to talk to you. My best to your wife and your family. Godspeed, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You bet. All right, amigos, we continue our conversation with you, the American people. So give me a call, 833-4-VALDEZ.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez. Call now, 833-4-VALDEZ. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4-VALDEZ. That's Valdez with an S.
Look at Rich Valdez. He's now a radio host, and he's a great radio host.
America at Night with Rich Valdez.
Well, speaking of the press, I do think that we've had maybe more executive orders than CNN has viewers each night. So hello to our friends at CNN. I actually think that their plan was they were going to go all in on anti-Trump and hope that he could save CNN in the same way that he did, frankly, in 2017, because nobody really watched the network until he became president in 2017. But that's maybe the one thing I think the president has been unable to save the CNN's ratings over the last few months.
That is Vice President J.D. Vance at CPAC today, cracking a funny joke there about CNN and the multitude of executive orders. And something that I had a brief conversation with Byron Donalds about was just that, this kind of shock and awe campaign that's coming out of the administration. How many, and this was from its, I wouldn't say from the inception, but I would say from the transition period forward, of dropping multiple pieces of big information every day. Kind of like, just being a boxer and having a lightning speed jab that just doesn't stop coming. So you're stunned the entire time. And I think that's been the strategy throughout, right? Trump literally took the oath of office, gave his speech, and then gave another speech, and then gave a third speech. So that, the media's in overdrive now. Instead of chopping up the one speech, the initial inaugural address, there was the post-inaugural address, and then there was the post-inaugural address at the Capitol Center. And all of them had very juicy tidbits. And each of them had another reason to focus on it, right? Because the provocative statements that were made, promises made, eventually becoming promises kept. And what I think is interesting is Trump's understanding of the media really works to his advantage now, because they have to stay on every word, because they're going to try and mince those words. And as they're trying to do that, he's saying, oh, yeah, we're doing this. And then, boom, they move over to, oh, we're doing this. And then, oh, but Kash Patel got confirmed. Oh, but Pam Bondi just said this. And, oh, Elon Musk just said this. And, oh, the president of Argentina just gave him a chainsaw. And when you look at everything, and then, oh, the courts just said that you're clear and you're good to go on this one. And, oh, some openly gay judge now says that he's going to block the LGBTQ executive order. And so it's like there's no shortage of places to go, and all of them lead back to Trump. He controls every news cycle. And quite frankly, he was doing that when he wasn't president, too. Why? Because they decided to try to put him in jail. Bad move. I think had they let him live and not try to put him in jail, he likely wouldn't be as big of a media rock star as he is. Although he was always a media rock star. We got to be honest here. All right, folks. Hasta la próxima. Take care, good night, and God bless you, America. For some of you, this is the last stop. For others, there will be more. Don't go anywhere. I'm Rich Valdez.
Live from the city that never sleeps. 17 miles from Madison Square Garden, New York City. It's America at Night with Rich Valdez, America's favorite late-night talk program, featuring interesting guests from around the world and calls from across America. And now, here is your host, Rich Valdez.
Hi there, good evening, and what's up, America? Welcome back. Rich Valdez, live with you till 1 a.m. midnight. Our phone number, if you want to join us, we're live and national tonight, every night, 833-4825-337-8334-Valdez. And I got to tell you, it's a pleasure to be here with you guys. Beautiful Thursday evening. I happen to know the day because I looked at it a little while ago. But I didn't know it was Thursday until about 45 minutes ago. Anyway, so much is going on, right? The United States hockey team's about to play the Canadians, or they might be playing them right now, actually. I'm not sure what time that game is, but I saw their preparation for it a couple hours ago. Hopeful that USA will bring it home. And Kash Patel has been confirmed. That's a big story today. And this is a good thing because you need somebody who's going to be solid in the FBI to prosecute all the people that have snuck into this country illegally that are doing bad things, right? And I don't mean people that are here to work on somebody's house or be a housekeeper in someone's home. I'm talking about MS-13. I'm talking about Tren de Aragua. I'm talking about the cartels. These are the people. These individuals, these organizations, transnational criminal organizations that are hurting America. And today, in a very Trumpian manner, Stephen Miller, Deputy Chief of Staff at the White House, took to the press briefing room and went to town on this stuff. Listen to this.
Today, it is officially the law of the land at the conclusion of the congressional notification process that 6 Mexican cartels and 2 transnational gangs, Tren de Aragua, or TDA, and MS-13, so 8 organizations in total, are now formally designated as foreign terrorist organizations, which means that every single member of those organizations who operates on U.S. soil is now, as a legal matter, a terrorist, and they will be treated as terrorists. This is a sea change in U.S. policy. And this means the Department of Justice and the Department of Homeland Security, along with the rest of U.S. law enforcement and the Department of Defense, are now operating in a legal reality where these cartels are recognized as terrorists. And there will be a whole of government effort to remove these terrorists from our soil.
Removing them from our soil. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio signed this designation, which opens up the cartels for financial sanctions, the same way you could impose them on Iran or Russia or anybody else. This is pretty cool, right? Because now Trump can go after their money. Now, the FTO, the Foreign Terrorist Organization designation, also allows the United States to use the military, right? Special forces, whatever we've got, against these cartels that are, once were Colombian, and now really you get the Mexican cartels that really run the whole show. And you got the Sinaloa cartel, that is El Chapo's group, the Jalisco cartel, New Generation, Carteles Unidos, another one, Cartel del Noreste, Northeastern cartel, Cartel del Golfo, that's the Gulf of America cartel, and La Nueva Familia Michoacana. Very interesting. And the international gang, MS-13, is also now a foreign terrorist organization, as is Tren de Aragua, the Venezuelan prison gang. And again, I think we do ourselves a disservice to call them gangs, because these people are just that, terrorists, right? They're foreign terrorist organizations. They use terrorism to do what they do. And I think this is a really good step in the right direction today. So kudos to the Trump administration for that. Now, in other news, Mitch McConnell has announced he's not seeking re-election. I'm thrilled to hear that. I was never a fan of Mitch McConnell, the turtle, is he? Never a fan of his. I was never a fan. He's, I know everybody always, he was great on judges. Look, yeah, you got to be good on something, right? Even a broken clock is right twice a day. I was never a fan. I never saw the allure. I never understood how he wielded so much power. Literally, I think the one Republican that you see, that he's like a rock star on social media. I forget his name right now. I say it every day. We always play clips of his. But the one Republican that's on CNN, it's always torching everybody, he's a McConnell guy, or at least was at one point. And I've never seen the allure with McConnell. But I get it. Just because you work for the guy doesn't mean that, you're lock, stock, and barrel for the guy. But, yeah, I'm good riddance, right? I'm glad McConnell's out the door. Hopefully we can hold on to that seat and put a real conservative in there. That's always my hope. Let me see. What else we've got? The Trump administration is now offering Ukraine an improved rare minerals deal. Now, this is, I think, a good idea. A good idea to continue this. Give Zelensky another opportunity. Why? Because maybe he's not so bright, or maybe he's an expert negotiator, and that's why he walked away from the table last time. Either way, this is in their best interest. It really is. Now, I guess he's looking at it going, well, most of your government loves me. I'm Volodymyr, and most of your government loves me. They love to give me billions and billions and billions of dollars. And that's probably true, right? Every time we talk about not funding Ukraine, you see the politicians are like, what do you mean? No, we're doing that, right? They get really messed up, like you said something bad about their mama. But I get it. I get why these guys, everybody's cashing in on this gravy train. So Zelensky's like, I don't want to give up anything. And Trump's like, look, you're going to have to give up because this thing, it's not going on. We're going to make money a different way. And I think that's the right way to do it. But anyway, just a little bit of that, what's going on here. The improved deal, at least the draft of the deal, was reported by Axios and the New York Post. And this comes after Trump and Zelensky spent the week trading barbs, right? Trump said he was a mediocre comedian. And all that. Yeah, did a great job with that, though. And Zelensky accusing Trump of living in a Russian-made disinformation space, and Trump firing back, calling the Ukrainian leader a dictator, which we brought you last night, all of those clips. And now they're looking to secure a deal that would net the United States billions of dollars worth of rare earth minerals in exchange for American support in Ukraine's war against Russia. Now, President Trump views this the deal as a way to get payback for the billions of dollars that we've provided to Ukraine in this almost 3-year war. But Zelensky says that it doesn't go far enough in terms of the protections for his country. So the lines of negotiation are still open, and that's a good thing. And again, this is a piece in the New York Post that I'm looking at. Zelensky's dismissing the first plan, and we heard about that when he met with Secretary Bessent and said, no, I'm not doing it. Not doing it. America doesn't get to call the shots or whatever he said. Well, they can't make decisions for Ukraine. Only Ukraine makes decisions for Ukraine, which was a safe statement and a fair one, an appropriate one. And he made the statement. He did what he did. So now we're back with a different offer, and that's good. Hopefully we'll get to where we need to be. Scott Bessent actually was there, and Trump went straight to dealing with Putin. So now they're in a better situation, it seems, at least as of this article. J.D. Vance also was at CPAC today talking about what's going on in Europe on the whole, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. But first, I want to talk about the importance of what we do together here every day, right? This late-night national town hall conversation, because it's only possible because of radio, right? Radio is where it's at. I don't know too many TV shows where you can call in and have your voice heard and have an actual conversation, and others can chime in. And this is really a late-night national town hall, and I love doing it, but not everybody can hear it. So if you're struggling with getting good reception in your house, you need C. Crane's Wi-Fi 3 internet radio. The CC Wi-Fi 3 internet radio is your solution. Now, here's why. It's very special. I think it's special because you can connect it to the internet and you're ready to go. Right there. Just once it's hooked up, right? Tune it into the Wi-Fi and you're good. You can tune into over 30,000 radio stations globally. Of course, that includes many stations that are carrying my show with no static, no fade. The voice-focused audio surpasses any audio you would get on a smartphone, any smartphone on the market. Plus, there's no need to sign into any apps. You don't have to worry about additional monthly fees, your microphone being on and eavesdropping, or even pop-up ads, because it's a radio. And it also comes with a full-size remote control. So finding whatever you want to listen to while you're sitting in your favorite easy chair, never been easier. Plus, the radio doubles as a Bluetooth speaker, so you can listen to your favorite music and podcasts like this one. Now, if you want to order the CC Wi-Fi 3, give C. Crane a call, 800-522-8863, or visit C. Crane online. Here's the website, ccrane.com/rich. You get the deal. Now, I'll spell it out for you. ccrane.com/rich. And use code RICH at checkout for 10% off all the orders that are going to be more than $75. Plus, this thing is available on Amazon. So what are you waiting for? Go to the website, ccrane.com/rich.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez.
Rich Valdez, who again will do a fine job, and I know you'll enjoy listening to him.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez.
Schools and colleges scrambling to meet an order from the White House after the Department of Education sent a Dear Colleague letter Friday night telling them that they must eliminate DEI programs or risk losing funding. In that letter, the department's Civil Rights Division says that they will no longer tolerate the, quote, overt and covert racial discrimination that has become widespread in this nation's institutions. The letter specifically names white and Asian students as victims of discrimination, though some leaders in higher education say that's far from what's happening. 12 states have already passed laws that call for an end to DEI efforts. Another 12 have measures on the table, but the remaining states without laws on the book are all trying to figure out how to comply with this new federal policy.
So the Department of Ed is threatening to cut the federal funds of universities that continue to push DEI programs. I love it. I think it's a great idea. And I think this is the type of approach we need in everything. And I know Trump and the administration have been pushing that pretty much across the board, right? They're trying to do it everywhere. We need more. I think we need more because this stuff is out of control. We're seeing some of the detriment of what DEI can do in professional life. We've seen what it can do all across the board. I think we need to go back to a meritocracy. It's a university, right? It's supposed to be about hard work. Anyway, I want to get to the bottom of this because this is a story that is right here. I'm looking at it right now on the collegefix.com. And we have Jennifer Kabbany, the editor over at the College Fix. She's with us. Jen, welcome back.
Hi, Rich. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So talk us through this because I think it's a great idea, but apparently there's some critics.
Well, so it is a bold move on Trump's part to basically say anything under the DEI umbrella is illegal. They're arguing that DEI programs violate Title VI, which states no person in the United States shall, on the ground of race, color, or origin, be excluded from participation in or be denied the benefits of any program receiving federal funds. So essentially, it's the white kids that are being discriminated against, right? They'll have dorm suites that are only for certain students of color. They'll have graduation ceremonies only for students of color. They'll have scholarships only for students of color. They'll have, special programs that help, encourage and network for only students of color. So all four of those examples, theoretically discriminate against white people. Well, as you know, critical race theory argues that current discrimination against whites makes up for past discrimination against others. And Trump is saying, no, it doesn't, and we're not doing this anymore. So, but it is very broad, it's very overreaching, and I'm sure there'll be legal challenges.
Which is, I think this is a good thing, ultimately. You get the legal challenges, and then you work your way through the circuit courts and the courts of appeals, and hopefully you get to a Supreme Court ruling where you can get something that's kind of solidified. Now, I don't know if every issue is going to get to the Supreme Court level, but I think it's a noble cause because ultimately, when you boil it down, in my opinion, it like you said, it might be a bold move, it may be ambitious, but at the end of the day, when you boil it down, the benefit I don't think outweighs the cost, right? I think it makes sense, and moreover, I guess what I'm trying to say here is, if we continue down this road, ultimately, I think we create this milquetoast environment that's not very academically sound, not very meritorious, but just kind of fluff, pandering to one group or another group for all the wrong reasons, none which have to do with academic rigor.
Yeah. Well, and the worst part about it is DEI doesn't work. I mean, survey after survey of students, how do you feel? Do you feel more welcome? Do you feel more included? No. I mean, it's just dividing the campuses more than ever. So, I mean, it doesn't even work, basically. But, yeah, it's also unconstitutional, or it does, exclude whites, which is, okay, it's illegal. You cannot discriminate in America.
Right. That's a key part. Big caveat there.
That was the whole basis of, the Students for Fair Admissions versus Harvard is like, look, discrimination's illegal. Even if it, you feel good about it, it's just like these fluffy sort of like platitudes. You can't discriminate. That's the bottom line. That's not how America rolls. And so that's what this Dear Colleague letter aims to enforce. And they're threatening the purse strings, which I tell you what, that does work a lot of times. Universities do not want their money cut off. Now, whether Trump would actually yank the federal funding of a university, boy, the outrage would probably be swift and severe. But I mean, I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, nor would I, folks. We're on with Jennifer Kabbany. She is the editor-in-chief over at the College Fix, thecollegefix.com. Great site on education-related matters. And straight ahead, I want to get into some of the other stuff that she's working on. Let me see here. There's ICE pulls out of the University of Maryland job fair after student outrage. Oh man, I got a story about ICE. There's a lot of outrage and manufactured fear. So I want to get into that, and I also want to get into this particular story about a nursing school in Michigan and what's going on there. So we're going to touch on a number of things tonight. Folks, we're coming right back with Jen Kabbany, and I also want to remind you, any portion of the interviews that we have on this program that you want to share with a friend or send to somebody, you can do that. Just go to richvaldez.com. It's available absolutely free. You can just copy and paste a link for today's show, yesterday's show, tomorrow's show. No, not tomorrow's show, unless it's after tomorrow. But yeah, they go back to, last couple of years. So make sure you check out richvaldez.com. Anyway, keep it locked right here. Jennifer Kabbany from the College Fix is coming right back with me, Rich Valdez. Don't go anywhere.
Call now, 833-4-VALDEZ. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4-VALDEZ. That's Valdez with an S.
You said that she is just offering civil education and that you might be, quote, vaguely familiar with the U.S. immigration law, but that she's just doing what she needs to do to remind people the law of the land passed by congressional statute.
vaguely aware of immigration law. I've done this since 1984. I forgot more about the immigration law than AOC will ever know. Matter of fact, the hearing a couple years ago, I had explained to her that entering the country illegally was actually a crime. So, I'm not going to play that game with her. I simply made a statement. When you sit down with people who are wanted by us, criminal aliens that have been ordered deported from the United States government, and ignore that order, if you and I ignored that order, we'd be sitting in prison. But they ignored an order from a federal judge. They're hiding in a home, and she's telling them not to open the door.
That's former ICE Chief Tom Homan, the border czar, on with Dana Bash on CNN earlier this week, talking about AOC. Congresswoman AOC, all out crazy. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, our least favorite congresswoman from the Bronx and Queens, who has been coming at him because she's sounding the alarm to her constituents, saying, look, I will teach you. I will get immigration lawyers and guide you through staying here. And this is a bone of contention for a lot of people. But what's interesting about it is that it doesn't stop with Tom Homan and AOC. It spills over into other areas. You now have ICE pulling out of a job fair at the University of Maryland because students were outraged by the whole thing. I want to come back to our guest, Jennifer Kabbany. She is the editor at College Fix. Go for it.
Yeah, so a lot of progressive students lose their minds when they hear ICE is coming to campus. But the thing is, if you've ever been to a college job fair, I mean, I have, and I can tell you, it's just a bunch of little booths set up in a room or a quad, and there's like one or two people just sitting there handing out brochures. But they always act like it's, 12 guys coming in full riot gear, ready to,
right.
try to find every legal student on campus. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's a job fair. Yes. So ICE pulled out of the University of Maryland job fair that's going to be held soon. They're claiming it has nothing to do with the student outrage. The student government had passed a resolution saying, well, we can't give them any information for the students. We have to protect their privacy. It's also ridiculous. But this is actually very common. Earlier, when at Duke University, when there were ICE recruiters there, some students claimed it represented a societal attack against our humanity. And then it was funny, over at Loyola University Chicago, there was somebody in a uniform on campus. People freaked out, thought it was ICE. It was actually a Census Bureau worker. So, I mean, just right now, ICE is the boogeyman for sure. And even when it comes to like just some lady in a polo handing out brochures, they act like it's the end of the world.
100%. And this college fair was job fair at the college was supposed to occur in about a week. And apparently their name has now just disappeared from the list, which, again, I just think this is cancel culture, rearing its ugly head. What about all the well-intentioned students that want to work for Border Patrol or ICE, and they may never have a chance now because of these people? And I think the whole thing's funny is I'm looking at your piece and I see some of what they're talking about it. But the petition that they filed, that was promoted by a student organization, such as the university's Political Latinxes United for Movement and Action in Society, whatever that means, and Students for Justice in Palestine. Very upset.
Don't miss the anti-imperialist movement.
Oh yeah, so it seems like the left has just created a student movement for absolutely every grievance they could possibly come up with.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you're right when you say this is cancel culture. Look, it's unfair to the students who actually might want to work at ICE. It's probably a pretty great job with awesome benefits, and they've been deprived of this opportunity because of outrage culture and cancel culture. And this happens a lot. And in fact, the College Fix maintains a campus cancel culture database. And I think we're almost to 2,000 entries. Just example after example of students denying others rights to learn and to grow and to debate just because they got their panties in a bunch, essentially, because they're upset about something. They're ruled by their emotions and not by logic or civil debate.
This is one of the conundrums of life that many of us will never figure out, why some of us are ruled by logic and others by emotion. And you really can't see eye to eye if you're not looking through the same lens. This happens across the board, right, on every issue. But when people are led by emotion, you tend to, I think you get led astray. You're not able to see the reality of the situation. Now, Jennifer Kabbany, I want you to please let everybody know how they find you, find more of your work. And before you do that, let everybody know what's in the hopper that they can expect coming out of your website.
Well, we just published some videos about, journalism and the importance of journalism and why it's so vital to have a, free, open press to maintain the fourth estate, to hold people accountable. So if anybody wants to go to our YouTube page and check out these videos, they're really, really good. They feature Britt Hume, Tucker Carlson, John Stossel, Charlie Gasparino, and it's just a bunch of really legendary journalists talking about why it's so important that we have folks like you, Rich, and folks like me and everybody else in between who's willing to stand in the gap and tell the truth and, demand accountability of the powerful. If we don't have that, we don't have America. So please check out those videos. They're really great. They're on our YouTube page.
Outstanding. How do they get to the YouTube page? YouTube College Fix?
Yeah, just the College Fix, F-I-X, and we have a channel there, and the videos are on the channel there.
The College Fix on YouTube, or check them out on social media as well. And people that want to follow you or find you to take a look at the articles you're putting out there, where do they get you?
So, I'm on X, Jennifer Kabbany. We also have Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, I guess X, whatever they're calling it now. We're everywhere. We're everywhere. You can't miss us. So just Google the College Fix and you'll find us.
Outstanding. Jennifer Kabbany, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Keep up the good work.
Thanks. Good talking to you again.
Likewise. All right, amigos, we continue with your calls and your thoughts and so much more straight ahead. 833-4-VALDEZ.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez. Call now, 833-4-VALDEZ. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4-VALDEZ. That's Valdez with an S. Call now, 833-4-VALDEZ. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4-VALDEZ. That's Valdez with an S.
All right, amigos, welcome back. And in true Larry King tradition, Jim Bohannon tradition, after the guest goes, we do open phones across America. And we talk to people all across the country. So you are invited to call 833-482-5337. And let us go to Robert, Malvern, Arkansas, Karn. Robert, go right ahead. You're on with Rich Valdez. Welcome.
Brother S, I love your show, and I think that this is historic and iconic to me, because Elon Musk said he never wanted to get involved in politics, but he had to. And I told your call screener this. And it was in 97 or 98, the question was posed to then Democratic Donald Trump. And they said, would you ever consider running for president? He goes, I don't want to, but if I have to, I will. Both of these men are they're giants. And each one of them felt the same way about politics. They didn't want to get involved, but if they had to, they would. And that just, to me, is thrilling.
Why? Is it because they have so much to lose by getting involved in politics, or because so few people actually answer the call to serve?
Neither one of them are making any money on the deal.
Well, that's what I mean. But they have so much to lose by getting involved, right? Musk could make a lot more money if he wasn't running around the White House all day.
Correct.
And Trump, Trump, same thing.
That's what I'm saying. Trump said it in the 90s, And then Elon said it just hours ago when they asked him about his involvement in politics, which he's technically not a politician.
Right.
But he said, I had to. And
yeah, and I think part of the clip that we played, Robert, was he said that this isn't a question of, why are we trying to, make the government more efficient. He said it's absolutely essential that we do. And I think it's a strong statement. And the reason it's a strong statement, again, part of for the reasons you're citing, is that the guy doesn't have to do this, clearly. But the other part of it, I think, is because when you are playing in the high stakes world like both of these men do, they see things differently because they command a lot more power. And I think when you have that type of perch, when you have that type of purview, you're able to look at things differently and have a little bit more insight, a little more wisdom than someone like me who, I don't have that, I don't jump on a plane that I own to travel, right? So things are different in my world, and I don't see the world the way they see the world. So I find it interesting that they can see this because I feel that they're involved in so many different things. They're able to see things coming in a manner that I can't, if that makes any sense, Robert.
It does. Unlike a typical politician that goes in making $170,000 a year, and 2 years later they're multimillionaires.
Yeah.
These guys are taking pay cuts, and they're going, yeah, well, this needs to be done. So
right. Yeah. And not only that, they're going hard, right? I got to tell you, I think Trump has been in business for so long. He owns a bunch of hotels, a bunch of golf courses. They do well. All he's got to do is make sure he keeps running his business as well, maybe add a few more, and voila, there you go. He doesn't need to scale his company in any massive way. Yet he's got the True Social company. Now he's got the Trump FinTech company. And all of these things, I think, they can keep him busy. He'd be a lot busier if he wasn't talking to Putin, talking to Zelensky, doing all of this stuff to try to make the world a better place. So I think you're spot on with that comment. Robert in Malvern, Arkansas, thank you for your call, my brother, KARN. Folks, I pause right here. I come back to calls from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Boise, Idaho, and more. 833-482-5337, 833-4-VALDEZ.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez. Call now, 833-4-VALDEZ. That's 833-482-5337, 833-4-VALDEZ. That's Valdez with an S. Now, 833-4-VALDEZ. That's 833-482-5337, 833-4-VALDEZ. That's Valdez with an S.
All right, amigos, getting to your calls in just a moment, but I just wanted to piggyback on something that our caller from Arkansas just said. And it was that Musk and Trump and everybody, on the front lines of this Making America Great Again, America First movement, are putting themselves out there, right? They're putting themselves at risk, and I thought that was interesting because Elon Musk talked about that today at CPAC just a few hours ago, and he made a comment about the president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, contacting him and asking him. Or expressing a concern over his personal safety and security. Listen to this.
I'm open to ideas for improving security, I have to tell you. I don't actually have a death wish, I think. But it's not that easy. Yeah. I mean, yeah. But I have I've had even people like President Bukele from El Salvador who managed to put in prison 100,000 murderous thugs. And he was like, he called me, he's like, I'm worried about your security. I'm like, you're worried about my security? I'm like, what? Okay. That's
I mean, yeah, talk about guts to do that down there. I mean,
yeah, totally.
And survive.
Like, I'm like, I was like, how did you put all those thugs in prison without dying? Because it seems like that would have been not easy,
He asks all the right questions. I would have asked the same one. How did you put 100,000 murderous thugs in jail without dying? The answer is El Salvador has I did a whole segment on this a while back. Their style of government was once military junta, and that means that the president is not only the commander-in-chief, but he's able to use the military as police, as a law enforcement tool, and that's what he did here. He uses the military to imprison these terrorists, and it's been extraordinarily successful. So I thought that was very interesting. And then he joked about it, saying that the guy who puts all the bad guys in jail is concerned about my safety when I'm just cutting things in Doge. And I get his point. Anyway, let us continue with calls here. Let's see. Let's go to Ian, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, KDKA. Go right ahead, Ian.
Hi, how are you doing tonight?
Wonderful, thank you.
Good. Yeah, I wanted to call, talk a little about Elon and what's going on with Trump. It's really interesting what they're doing, and I'm supportive of it. However, I'd like to remind everyone to be cautious of the possible deflationary pressures that could come from cutting back so much money at such a quick rate, especially with interest rates as high as they are. I definitely think the spending has to stop as much as we can. It's getting out of control. It took a long time to get to $1 trillion from the beginning of America to, I believe, 1981. And we have that in interest rates alone. So it's definitely a good thing what's going on overall.
What's your concern with deflationary pressure?
Well, the way I see it, the more I learn about money and financing, it's like this well-oiled machine. And as time goes on, especially with interest rates when they rise at a time like this, and then you have cutting a bunch of money, it kind of reminds me of the Depression a little, where a lot of it had to do with production and capacity. See, they overestimated and overshot what they were trying to accomplish. And in return, at some point, the bill came due. And so my concern is that as they keep cutting costs, they're not going to realize the scale of this thing, plus mix the debt and high interest rates. And I just hope they're being extra cautious and aware of that.
Sure. Now, presuming what you said originally holds true, if there is deflationary pressure and it causes interest rates to fall and deflates the already inflated dollar, then you would see the dollar going up, interest going down, people having a dollar that can purchase more, and they could purchase more because they can borrow more. Wouldn't that be a recipe for success?
Yes, I believe so, especially in the long term.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. If it happens, it could work. So deflation could be a good thing. Ian, thank you for your call, brother. I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate your thoughtfulness on this as well. KDKA, America's oldest radio station, in the building. There's the music. I was about to do a time check. We got calls from a couple other places in the country. Stick around. We're going to do some calls just on the other side of these commercial breaks in 6 or 7 minutes. So stick with us, folks. And for those of you that have to go to work or have to turn off your radio, God forbid, hasta la próxima. Take care. Good night. And God bless you, America. I'm Rich Valdez, but we are coming back.
Live from the city that never sleeps. 17 miles from Madison Square Garden, New York City. It's America at Night with Rich Valdez, America's favorite late-night talk program, featuring interesting guests from around the world and calls from across America. And now, here is your host, Rich Valdez.
Hi there, good evening, and what's up, America? I am Rich Valdez, Valdez with an S, at Rich Valdez on all of the social media, your liberty-loving Latino amigo. Happy to be here with you this evening, working the night shift with you. I'm here until midnight or 1 o'clock a.m. in some areas, depending on where you are in the country. And if you're out in Hawaii, then, man, it's early. Hopefully you make it home in time for dinner. Anyway, the phone number, 833-482-5337, 833-4-VALDEZ. I want to talk about a bunch of things tonight. Plenty to discuss, of course. I want to talk about robots. There are these humanoid robots that I want to get into. But before we get into that, I want to talk about some of the news of the day, all right? Because there's plenty of things out there. Mitch McConnell has announced he's not seeking re-election in 2026. I say that with such a smile on my face because I can't stand Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is a epitome of a rhino Republican. But yes, we'll give him credit for the judges. Okay, he gets his credit for judges. Thank you, sir. Have a nice day. Now, give me Daniel Cameron, some other Kentucky conservative, a real conservative, unlike Mitch McConnell. So hopefully former AG Cameron will nail this thing and start to put Kentucky first, right? And do the right thing. So that's part of the big story of the day. Kathy Hochul, governor of New York, man, she's got so many things. I heard a clip of her, and she was saying something like, I was going to go see Trump this week. He had invited me. That was very nice of him. And then, you know, I read that he said this and that and whatever. And, you know, I was concerned. What's he going to do? Slap the cuffs on me when I walk in? So I'm not going. I'm not going till next week when my fellow governors are there from Democrat states. It was the silliest thing I'd ever heard. I wish I had the audio. I'd play it for you. But anyway, that's that. A whole police department is recommended to be abolished in Alabama. A grand jury made that recommendation. We'll get into that in about 25 minutes or so. It says here, there's a few other stories there that I'll get into, but I want to talk about something else because immigration is a big deal. And right now, there's a story floating out there that the Trump administration has halted the legal defense of, I don't know, tens of thousands of unaccompanied minor alien children. And I think this is poorly said, right? It really is, because they're stopping federal funding. They're not saying that you need to stop working, but they're calling it a stop work order. The order is only to stop the work that you're doing because you're being funded by the government. Now, I submit to you this point. If you are a lawyer and you're doing this type of law, right? Public interest law. Okay, I see you want to help people. You want to do the right thing. Good for you. That's very altruistic. Amen. Love that. However, I realize that you don't care where the money comes from. As long as somebody's paying the bills and you're getting your check, and probably a smaller check than you would get if you worked at a big firm, then you're good because you're really trying to help the people. However, it's not the government's responsibility. And to this I say, how generous and charitable are we in the public interest if when the government says, hey, we're not funding this anymore, you say, all right, then we're not taking care of these kids anymore. Now all of a sudden their justice goes out the window. Why not try to find another grant provider like every other nonprofit out there, right? Where's the ACLU? They're not government funded all the time, right? I'm sure they get plenty of private donations. What about the Legal Aid Society? What about local churches? What about organizations like First Liberty, right? Great conservative legal organization there. Pacific Legal Foundation. There's plenty of them out there. ADF, Alliance Defending Freedom. These people take on cases all the time. Do they get federally funded? I don't think so. I believe they raise money. I get letters from half of those places half the time asking for a donation. So my question here is, why does the media pretend they're so incurious? They're not. They're complicit. They want to make it look like Trump is ending the legal defense of tens of thousands of unaccompanied migrant children. And they're in court trying to defend themselves so that they could stay in this country because they don't have parents. And Trump literally got elected on this premise, right? Building the wall, tightening the border. Why on earth would he say, all right, let's do this and this and this, but we're going to not do this. We're going to keep paying. We're going to fund the defense of the people that I'm paying other people to try and repatriate with their home country. Where is the sense in that? Now, I'm not saying we should go on a rampage to deport children. But I am saying if you have children that were smuggled into this country, perhaps raped along the way, almost always drugged along the way, and they're here trying to fulfill whatever duty and commitment they have to protect the rest of their family back home, to protect their siblings, whatever the case is. I don't believe we should treat them like criminals. They're children. I also don't think that we need to pay for their lawyer, right? I think it's fair to say we can find a middle ground here. What type of public relations nightmare do you think Trump is going to have when the headline reads 26,000 unaccompanied minors deported? It's not going to be a good headline, right? It was bad enough when they said it was kids in cages. They weren't even deported, and they weren't even in his cages. So I think Trump knows a thing or two about how the media works, and that's why he's saying, look, we're not going to fund this. Trump's a deal man, so he's going to make a deal, no question. But it's so unfair the way the media portrays this, because then it creates fear in the hearts and minds of people. I'm on a school board, and I can't really discuss the stuff that we discuss in executive session, but stuff that's public record, we can definitely discuss. And there was a proposal for a policy regarding if ICE visited the school. And the majority of the school board members were all in favor of adopting such a policy. And to his credit, the school leader said, who was advocating for it, said, I think it's a good idea to have a policy on the books because we haven't had an incident of this, but we'd like to have one just in case it happens. Then another person commented that sometimes, police can be heavy-handed, sometimes they can be overly aggressive, and began to go into a scenario about what happens if we try to videotape them when they come into school. Now, mind you, there is not a single documented case of this happening in the United States, ever. That ICE was like, hey, guys, we're here to arrest little kids. It doesn't work that way. Even the real police don't, or I should say the local police, because ICE is very real police, federal police. Even local police don't arrest little kids out of schools, right? If there's a fight in a school and they got to, detain somebody, maybe they'll do that, right? If there's a kid in danger or something like that, a kidnapping, a parental alienation, well, many different things. And typically they'll have a CPS or, a child services person in tow. And these are, rare public safety type of things. So my point in voting against this policy that was drafted and recommended and voted on was, we already have policies on the books where we talk about how we deal with law enforcement, whether it's federal law enforcement, international law enforcement like Interpol, state law enforcement, or local. The protocol should be the same. The policy should be the same. This is how we deal with law enforcement. But this one was specifically related to ICE. And the intention was, we don't want to draw any particular attention to ICE. We're just going to use existing policies and kind of make a catch-all because this is a point of inquiry for a lot of parents. I get that. And if the proposal would have been, we want to have a new question added to the FAQ page, frequently asked questions, that specifically addresses what is your policy regarding this, we could say, look at our law enforcement policy here and forward it that way. I would be very open to that, but not adopting an actual policy specifically towards ICE, as if this is an ongoing problem. But again, to his credit, he said there was one case of this that was reported, and it was a mistake. It didn't happen. So if we know it hasn't happened, and the argument that you're posing to me, or, even if we were speaking about this figuratively, would be, but what if it happens? How do you run any organization like that based on, we're going to start adding policies on, well, what if it happens? I don't think we can live our life based on, well, what if it happens? You've got to be prepared to some degree, but for the rest of it, you got to live your life. So anyway, that's my thought there. I'm always kind of been against over-regulation and doing things for the sake of doing them rather than doing things for the sake of there's a need to do them. So hopefully that made sense. We're going to talk about some immigration. We're going to talk about some robots. You got these humanoid robots that look very real, and they cost a ton of cash, but some are more affordable than others. And we're going to talk with the CEO of a robotics company who's going to walk us through some of that straight ahead. Don't go anywhere.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez.
So glad to be on your show, Rich. It's just an amazing broadcast that I hope the rest of America listens to every day.
America at Night with Rich Valdez.
This is a full-body, human-like robot named Melody. Hi, Melody. Welcome to Las Vegas.
I'm Melody, your charming companion at the RealBotics booth. What brings you to our little corner of CES 2025?
Well, I'm a reporter and I live here, so that's why I'm here. Andrew Kuegeldow joins us. I have to admit, it is super cool to see these humanoid robots, and your company is the one behind it. It's called RealBotics. So who are these for?
Our robots are made not to replace physical human labor, but to sort of interact in social circumstances with humans. So think about them at a conference like this to elevate your brand. Think about it maybe at a casino as a concierge, or even to tackle loneliness at a senior's home where they can go room to room and just talk to people, collect information for a nurse or a doctor.
Interact with some of the senior citizens. Exactly. It's called RealBotics. By the way, this company is based out of Las Vegas. These robots can look like anybody you want to look like. The bodies can be designed specifically to your designations as well. They're expensive, $175,000. Reporting from CES, I'm Dana Wagner.
Now, not every robot is a humanoid, lifelike looking robot. When I was in town for the inauguration in D.C., I stayed at the Hyatt, and when I left my room, there was this little R2-D2 vacuum robot that was doing a bang-up job cleaning the hotel floor that I was on. And I thought, man, I'd never seen that. I had just gotten a Roomba at my house from iRobot, and that was pretty cool, but that's a small little disc. It's household domestic size, right? I had never seen a full, 2.5, 3 feet tall one that, really, almost intimidating looking. And I thought, I want to talk with somebody who knows a whole lot about robots, because I know nothing other than my little iRobot Roomba that mops and vacuums. So I want to talk with Elan Inbar. Elan Inbar is the head of robotics at RobotLAB.com, and he's our guest right now. Elan, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Have a good night. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So let's talk about this. First, tell me, how did you get involved in the robotics business? Are you an engineer? Is this your passion, or what was the path like for you?
Yeah, that's my passion since childhood. I loved robots since I was a child. I built them, programmed them, play with them. But for many years, robots were toys for geeks. You had to work on electronics and solder them and, put them together. We didn't have, anything like what we see today, like what, you mentioned that you ran into at the hotel over there. So for many years, it stayed as a hobby, just, for the fun of it. And somewhere around 2005, 2006, I was living in Taiwan, and this is when, Taiwan is the headquarters of all robots, electronics, and all of that. And I just noticed a change in, what you see on the streets. Instead of just, components like motors, sensors, and everything, you start seeing products like, small robotic arms and drones and remote control cars and these kind of things. And they were all basically controlled and powered by, the beginning of smartphones. And to me, this was kind of like, a wake-up call that my passion is, getting into the mainstream. And I basically, left what I was doing and started RobotLAB. This was almost 17 years ago.
Wow. So now, do you design these or do you curate them and resell them? What is RobotLAB's main bread and butter?
Yeah, so we used to build robots until a few years ago, but we stopped doing that. Today we are working and partnering with the largest manufacturers from all over the world, from LG over to SoftBank Robotics and many others. We are their exclusive partner for North and Latin America. We are providing robots to Hilton and Marriott and many other brands, and we make sure that the best products that are available actually getting on our catalog and eventually to our customers, which are business owners that literally struggling to find labor to do the mundane tasks that no one wants to do anymore.
Yeah. Now, the report indicated that there's some fear from people about robots replacing humans. What is the most popular robot that you sell for what function?
Yeah, first you're right. This is the most common comment that I'm hearing. Robots are taking jobs, right? We're all going to be fired and replaced by, robotics and, AI solutions and these kind of things. Right. So, first and foremost, robots are not here to take jobs. They're here to, step in and help where people actually don't want to do the jobs, or the task that business owners need them to do. So, for example, the one that you saw at the hotel over there is probably one of our most, in high demand use cases. Cleaning in hospitality, in hotels, in restaurants, in even assisted living facilities is something that literally no one wants to do. And the few that, did these type of jobs, as you mentioned earlier, with ICE and everything, are actually being deported. And, properties still need to be cleaned. So these are the things.
You know what? I want to pick up right there because it's a very, very interesting transition, right, from ICE to the robots. And I think you're right. There's a lot to talk about there. Folks, we're going to come right back with our guest. He's the head of RobotLAB. Elan Inbar is our guest. We're coming right back. Don't move a muscle. I'm Rich Valdez.
Now, 833-4-VALDEZ. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4-VALDEZ. That's Valdez with an S.
All right, amigos, welcome back. We continue our conversation on robots. There are some very incredible robots that were just displayed at the Consumer Electronics Expo in Las Vegas, and what technology has done is amazing. And we were talking about robots being used from actual being like a human, used as a concierge at a hotel, to vacuuming and other items like that. And our guest is Elan Inbar. He is the head of RobotLAB, robotlab.com. And Elan, you mentioned with ICE doing deportations and some people not around anymore, there's less people to do certain things, or people fearing being deported and not showing up to work. And it made me think of something different than you were talking about, which was, what can you tell us about the use of robots in law enforcement? I've seen that grow as well, whether it's for bomb removal or other types of things. A couple of years ago, maybe 18 months ago, I saw that some departments are now using robot dogs to do different law enforcement functions. I don't know if you distribute those in your company, but tell us what you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we do work with robot dogs. We have security robots that can patrol outdoors, indoors, in malls, and these kind of places. And these robots are designed to basically be proactive when it comes to security. Security today is very reactive, right? You have the guards or whatnot sitting on monitors, and will react when something happens. But security can be very proactive in a way that, for example, if it's an office building, you can patrol, the parking lot and so on, and a robot can scan license plates and realize if, there is a car that doesn't belong there after hours, just based on the license plate, someone should go and check out what's going on. Or if there is a light, turned on in a window that's supposed to be, dark, after hours, these kind of things can actually prevent or mitigate scenarios that may be too late for security guards to react later on. So there are many different types of robots. Specifically, robot dogs are great because the four legs allow them to traverse any surface, from stairs all the way to off-road kind of scenarios. And they're allowing the remote eyes and remote sensing and everything for the security team. So we have all of that, and they're out there, they're working. There are many police departments around the country that are using these robots. Many businesses are using these patrolling robots.
Now, what about the stuff that we've talked about over the years, and we've seen it through science fiction, through Hollywood, where you take these robot dog-styled devices and you combine them with this humanoid style that we saw at the CTS show, and you come up with like a soldier, live human soldier. Is that in the works? Have you heard about it? And what does that cost?
Yeah, at some point it will be a thing. Today it's not there yet, but I look at technology as a tool. I'm sure many of your audience, remember the Jetsons and Rosie, right? The robot over there that was, the
robot maid
family. Exactly. Yeah. And, as a tool, technology can, do good things or bad things. It doesn't really, matter for the technology. It's about us and how we put the technology to use. Every home in America has knives, but, no one is killing everyone every night, right? That's the type of technology that we are using in a different way to prepare meals and so on. So at some point there will be probably, robots that are designed, for the battlefield and these kind of things. That's, again, part of the use of technology. Today, it doesn't exist yet. And I believe that, as humanity, right? I mean, as the human race, we're going to go towards what I call the Star Trek economy, where robots are actually integrated in our lives, in our environment, in our economy, and providing the value, providing the economic value that we need in order to relieve ourselves from the basic needs. So think about the Maslow pyramid of needs, right? The basic ones are food, shelter.
Food, shelter.
That's right. And today we are all running around the bottom 2-3 steps of that pyramid. So we go to work to get enough money to pay our bills, so we will have shelter and food and everything. And we have very, very little time to actually go and climb higher levels, like self-fulfillment and everything. But with this type of robot workers, humanoid robots and so on, that can grow food for us, that can produce stuff, and the cost of living is going to drop drastically. Like I'm talking 100 times cheaper than where we are today, just because of automation. We will be able to relieve ourselves from this, repeat struggles in a way at the bottom of the pyramid and start climbing up. Because, if you think about Star Trek, no one works, right? Food just shows up and things just happen. And, it got to that point because humanity, in a way, solved all the basic needs by automating that, by using robotics, AI, and all of that. And now humanity is, free to, go for the stars, right, for self-fulfillment and these kind of things. That's where I believe we are going. And, we'll be bad actors using that, probably, just like any other technology. But I think the vast majority of that is actually going to help humanity a great deal.
Yeah, I'm sure people felt this way about the automobile replacing horses, and they were freaking out about it as well. But
Exactly.
Yeah.
And going back to your question from earlier, when we, transitioned from horses to humans, we lost several, types of jobs. They were poopers scoopers, right? This was a real job. There were people that this was their job, and they don't need to do that anymore, and they can become car mechanics. They can become many other things. So, we help them, get out of literally manure, right, into higher paying jobs and more fulfilling jobs, which is great overall for humanity.
Yeah. I guess it's debatable for some people. I know I don't think I want to live in a robot society, but I also realize what I like and what are likely to happen are two different things. So we'll see where we land, hopefully somewhere in the middle where it's helpful for technology, but we're not overrun by globalist robots. Anyway, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to make sure everybody knows how to find out about your work and where you are. RobotLAB.com is the website. What's the best way for people to follow you on social media?
So social media will be RobotLAB Inc. This is on all the platforms, X, Facebook, and so on, Instagram. If they want to learn more about robotics and what's coming, they can basically get my entire experience, 17 years of experience I put in a book. It's called Our Robotics Future, available on Amazon and these kind of things. And people can just learn everything about all the different types of robots, from delivery to cleaning, cooking, security, drones, and everything else, humanoids, and everything else that is coming down the way.
How far away do you think we are from the humanoid robot?
I believe in 2 to 3 years, we will have robots that are very useful, that are able to help us in our home chores and these kind of things, and will cost around $1,000. A company called Figure, like human figure, just released today a video where 2 robots are putting the groceries together, collaborative work. Some in the fridge, some in the drawer, some on the counter, and doing all of that, autonomously. It's beautiful. If you can just look for a Figure on social media and everything, you'll see this video. It's amazing, and it's coming. It's literally here.
Wow, it's like a butler.
Yes.
Robotic butler. It's like a Alexa with arms and legs. Wow.
Exactly.
Interesting stuff. Elan Inbar, thank you, sir. I appreciate you joining us. Check out his book. Check out the website, robotlab.com. The next time I want to talk about robots, you're my man. I'm going to be calling you back. Thanks, brother.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Have a good night. And amigos, your calls and more coming up right now. 833-482-5337, 833-4-VALDEZ.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez. Call now, 833-4-VALDEZ. That's 833-482-5337, 833-4-VALDEZ. That's Valdez with an S. now. 833-4-VALDEZ. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4-VALDEZ. That's Valdez with an S.
Richie V, always great to be on your show. You're a good man and a class act.
America at Night with Rich Valdez.
All right, amigos, welcome back. So what do you think about these humanoid robots? Should we be scared? Should we think that they're just Alexas with arms and legs and able to do a whole lot more? I don't know, but I want to hear your thoughts on it. 833-482-5337, 833-4-VALDEZ. And I also want you to listen to what to me is music to my ears. Mitch McConnell entering retirement. Listen to this.
Representing our Commonwealth has been the honor of a lifetime. I will not seek this honor an eighth time. My current term in the Senate will be my last.
My current term, my last. All right, Molasses, let's get your thoughts on everything that's going on from McConnell to the humanoid robots. Joe, Salem, Arkansas, KSAR. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Rich. I got Mitch here. You want to hear from him?
Say again?
You want to hear from Mitch McConnell?
You got Mitch with you? Go right ahead.
Yeah. He wants to clear something up before he leaves office.
Tell him to clear his throat.
Go ahead, Mitch. Rich, we got something in common. You do a pretty good Mitch McConnell, and also our names rhyme together when you say Mitch and Rich. And I'm not doing your show again, but this Joe, he harassed me until I just got to get on and clear something up. Now, not only is Bobby and Tulsi not qualified, neither one of them act or talk or speak or walk like a turtle, and I'm drawn to turtles. and if the Orange Man would have nominated a couple turtles there, I'd have been all in. But
I bet a couple of turtles and a couple of rhinos.
Well, I wanted to clear that up. That's all. And thank you for those kind comments when you opened the show there, and told me good riddance. I really appreciate that.
Well, this is what happens when Mitch McConnell comes on the show. Team USA loses the hockey match. That's horrible. Anyway, Joe, thank you, brother. That was a lot of fun. I appreciate it. Shout out to Joe in Salem, Arkansas. KSAR in the building. Let us continue. I want to go to one of our favorite dissenting voices, Jerome from Charleston, South Carolina. Jerry Smalls is the illest. WTMA, go right ahead.
Hey, you talk about dissenting. That's an understatement of understatements. Okay? First, Trump calls himself a king. Look, Trump calls himself a king on the magazine, okay? Then he blames Ukraine for the war with Russia. What planet does he live on?
I think he's living on the planet where we're about to own half of Ukraine's mineral rights and put an end to a war that sucked a few $100 billion out of our country. So I like that planet. I like it where we end the wars, people stop dying, and we make some money. Are you opposed to ending killing and making money?
Trump has dementia, okay? That's all. That's the only thing it could be. He's demented. He's 78 years old, and he's got dementia. And it reminds me of that old saying, how does a man profit if he gains the world and he loses his soul? You Trump supporters, you lost your soul a long time because you got a guy in the White House that has stone-cold dementia, and you won't admit it.
Oh, come on. You're living in a fantasy. The guy with stone-cold dementia, his name is Joel Baboso Biden, and he's out. He's out, thankfully. But I don't think I've lost my soul. But I will say this. I do think I may potentially, maybe, have gained a Doge dividend. I don't know. But when I get mine, if I get that $5,000 check of my own tax dollars, wouldn't that be nice, Jerome?
Yeah, due to the dementia of the guy in the White House. And the welfare.
I will
queen,
spend it. I will spend it with or without dementia. Go ahead.
Hey, that'll be the welfare money he got from the government on those government contracts he gets. Okay,
The
that'll be
government doesn't
welfare
have
money.
any money. The government has
Not-
your
not
money.
with him around. Oh yeah,
Good.
The welfare
That's exactly
queen
what
has
we
it.
want. You made my
No.
case for me. Not with him around. All right, brother. I got to hit the break here. Jerome in South Carolina, WTMA. Thank you, sir. All right, we're going to take a pause here. We're coming right back. We got calls from Connecticut, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Everybody else, 833-482-5337, 833-4-VALDEZ.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez. Voted best head of hair in live late night radio 6 years in a row. It's Rich Valdez.
All right, let's go to the phones, open phones across America. Let us talk with Claudia from Absecon, New Jersey. WOND in the building. Claudia, go right ahead.
Good morning. I listen to your show often. I like your show.
Thank you.
I am a talk radio fan, so I'm listening daily because I prefer that more than television. But I called about the robot. Everybody thinks they're going to be, excuse me, a production for us to help us in our daily, rituals, what we do, like taking care of the house. But those robots are so, I can say, ahead of us. And they're going to be ahead of us in order that we are not going to see them in the light that we see in them right now. Most of us don't have robots at the home. But when they do become available, they're going to be able to destruct more than construct. And that's what I believe, seriously. A lot of things that are going on are written in the Word of God, which is the Bible that I read. And it tells us that certain things are going to happen, which is happening now. We're in the last days in the world as it is existing right now. I don't know how long they last, but
You're not a fan of the robots.
not at all. Just like AI, I mean, not just AI, but Alexa and whatever the other names are. They have the power to see things that's going on in your house right now.
No, you're right. And, I find my Alexa talking every now and again without being spoken to. And I think to myself, hey, who said you could talk to me about that? I'm with you. They're very intrusive, and it's a scary thing. Claudia in Absecon, New Jersey, WOND, thank you. Quickly, we got to go to Joe, Bethel, Connecticut. Joe, make this the fastest sentence you've ever said. Go for it. WLAD.
Hello, Mr. Valdez. You said that you have a different perspective than Trump and the billionaire, but I'll vote for you anytime.
Oh, man, that is so kind of you, Joe. Thank you for saying that. If I ever run for office, perhaps I'm coming to you first for that first donation. Joe in Bethel, Connecticut, WLAD. Godspeed to you, sir. And amigos, hasta la próxima. Until the next time, take care, good night, and God bless you, America. I'm Rich Valdez.